Okay, millions of subscribers. Today we're going to try to do a brake pad job on the front wheels of the 2006 Toyota Sienna. And I got most everything I need. I've got some assorted ratchets. I got some brake fluid in case I need it. This is brake part lubricant, which you need for some of the pins and some of the little pads that go in. I got brake cleaner. I got my nice thick pads, which I'm going to measure because I don't really know how thick they are. And it'd be nice to see how much they wear. These are original Toyota parts, which is nice. I think that's a good idea. And then I got some shims, which apparently you need shims on these, or I'm going to find out if you do when I pull the old ones off. Other than that, a jack, a breaker bar, you got to jack up the car and pull off the wheels to get to everything. But I'm going to do that now, and then I'll show you once I get to that point. First thing I'll do is make sure that I hit the emergency brake on the car, and also chalk it anyway. And that reminds me, I'm going to tell you something about an emergency brake problem I had that I fixed, and it was really easy. I also forgot, I'm using one of these little tools I just got from AutoZone to push back the piston when I actually get to the point of putting in the new shoes. But that'll become obvious when we get there. But let me show you. Put on the. This is kind of silly and off topic, but the parking brake on this car wasn't working for the longest time. It turns out there's a little up in here somewhere. You'd see the brake cable that comes around from the bottom of the car and goes up around a little circular piece. And when you push down on this, of course, that pulls that piece up. And nothing, it didn't work forever. And it turns out right under here, you can't see it because the light's terrible, but the cable comes out, it's threaded on the tip, and there's just a little nut that goes around the outside. That had fallen off. So every time I pushed this down, all it was doing was just moving the cable, but it wasn't pushing against anything on the inside, so it wasn't actually gripping. And it turns out it had come off and fallen behind this panel. Don't know when, but I haven't had an emergency brake on this car for probably 10 years. Anyway, poking around, found that super easy fix. So it was nice to fix that. Okay, put on the brake. I chalked the rear just in case. And now I'm going to loosen the lug nuts with breaker bar and then begin jacking the car up and taking the wheels off. Okay, got my little 3-ton jack stands on there, and they're on the position that's supposed to be for jacking up the car, which should be fine. I usually use 6-ton jack stands, especially when I'm going to go under the car for the front, because the front's very heavy, but the whole car doesn't weigh 6,000 pounds loaded, so those jack stands should be fine. And all I'm going to be doing is playing around with the wheels and not getting under the car, so I should be okay. I'm going to open the hood so I can have access to the brake fluid, because that's a smart idea. And I've loosened the hubs, and so then I will just take the wheels off and we'll go from there. I just loosened this a little bit. It doesn't screw, it just pries off. That way, when we're pushing the fluid with the piston, and this fluid will rise, you don't want it to shoot out. So there's plenty in there. It's also not on the level now, so I'm not sure where it's supposed to be, but it's pretty low. But that gives me space to move when that liquid is pushed, when we push the little piston in. So that'll be fine. Okay, so here's this little caliper, and then here are the rotors, and here are the brake pads, and this thing right here is a brake pad. It's compressing on this side, so this is the metal piece that spins. Here's the part that compresses, and the other one I can't see really is on the other side. So I'm going to take this clamshell off. There's a bolt right here that's 14 millimeter that I should unloosen, and this thing should all flip right up. Looking at this though, I have never inspected it. Looks like there's plenty of brake pad on there. I'll just pull this off to see, but maybe this is going to end up being an inspection more than anything else, because my new brake pads don't look any different than the old ones, unless I can pull this off and see if there's oblong wear or something, so it might be useful. But I'm also just looking around, kind of making sure I don't see any liquid dropping anywhere. Here's my little bleeder valve. My brake line seems fine. I don't see anything liquid. I don't see any kind of problems. These are just dirty, so maybe I'll pull them out and grease them maybe. But nothing looks bad. Everything looks very happy. This doesn't look like it has any trouble. There's no weird marks on it or funny little grimy pieces or anything. So as far as I know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the brake pads. But I'll take this off and then we'll see what both brake pads look like. But I might not change them at all. I mean, there's no point. There's no point if they're good. So this might just be an inspection. But what we're going to do is take this off and go from there. Okay, so it is a 14 millimeter, it looks like. So I should be able to just unscrew that sucker. It's only 25 pounds of torque, so it's very gentle on there. It's not super amazingly tough. And if I pull that guy out, I should be able to at least inspect the brakes. So this supposedly now will open up like a clamshell. Supposedly. Maybe it won't. I don't know, I should loosen this one up a little bit. Maybe I should. I don't know if this is important to do or not, but oh, there it goes. I just had to use a little force. So this is just hinged, and there are the brake pads. They look absolutely beautiful. I mean, there's no wear. I mean, here's the brake pad from here to here, and from here to here. Here are the shims, except for cleaning them maybe with some brake dust or brake cleaner, which I might spray on them. There's nothing wrong with these. Maybe what I'll do is grease these pins and put them back in on top and bottom, but really there's no reason to change these. These are in good shape. This one's a little thinner than this one, but this has got a lot of life left in it, so there's no reason to do that in reality, which is a good thing, I suppose. A very good thing to know that it's actually in very good shape. So all I'm going to do is pull these out, this pin and probably this pin, and sort of re-grease them, since I got the grease and stuff ready to go. But it's kind of superfluous at this point. What an exciting video. Well, what I did was I used brake cleaner stuff, and I kind of cleaned everything off. I haven't oiled those little pins yet, but I cleaned off the inside of the up here in the piston, and I cleaned off the inside. I'm going to dry it off, let it dry completely. One thing I did notice is that one shim, the shim on this side, is really loose, and one of the little ears is bent. So I'm going to bend it back and stick it back on. I guess I could put more grease on these, because if there was grease on them, that doesn't exist anymore. Because this is where it touches here and here when this piece pushes against it. When this piece right here pushes against it, because you can see the imprint on the shim. So I'm going to clean these up a little bit and just basically reinstall everything once I clean these, and grease them. That's really all there is to it, because there's no reason to fix these. This brake pad, and I can see it, it's nice and thick too. I mean, look at the thickness here. It's from here to here. And my new ones are essentially no different. So the front brakes are good to go. Here's the bottom pin. All I did was pull it out from this little boot here, little boot, it just comes off of the edges like a little raised piece up here. That boot fits over, and you just squishes it back in. So I'll put some of my brake grease stuff on here, stick it back in. The top is the same story. I just pulled it out, and then the whole caliper is just lying on top of the brake. You just want to make sure you don't hurt this, but it looks fine. Okay, so because a person on the internet told us to do this, I clean this one. I'm putting a little bit of this high temperature grease stuff on here. I guess not a lot, but just enough to make it good. And then you just slide it back in here and make sure you put that little boot over. It should fit on. I might need a little screwdriver or something, I don't know. You kind of push it like so over and just make sure it's on all the way. There it is, it's on. Push it in. So now that's lubricated and moving nice. Do the same thing. This stuff is nasty. Do the same thing with this pin up here. Make sure I get it all the way around. I think I put the stuff on pretty sparingly too. It's just to lubricate it. It's not to like go nutso. And then since this little spacer came off, I'm going to put a little here where it hits the, you can see where it hits the little thingy, the side of the pad thing. And I'm going to put a little on the inside because it seems like it would make sense to put a little of this on the inside as well. So that's that. There's really no reason to, let me make sure I put this in right. When this falls down, it's going to fit like this. Okay. So that means this must fit like this. So this just sticks in and like so. Boom. That's that. So let's put this guy back. You just got to make sure you don't drop this, or it just fits back in its little hole. And all I did just now was push a little bit, and it went right on. The little boot went right in all by itself. So boots are on. They're movable. They're more movable than they were, so maybe that is something that's good to do. It's dry now because I did the I should put some of that grease on this side too. Why not? Because it is where the operational word is some of this grease. My gosh, this stuff really comes out. I'll put a little bit of it. Over here, where the piston comes in contact with it. And now, I should be able to slide this back on and put my little pin back in and torque it to 25. And that side's done. So then I'll go look at the other side. Wow, unless I have a problem, I'll just stop there because there's no reason to change these if they look beautiful. Oh, what an easy fix this was. Well, dear viewers, that was all anticlimax. Oh, that's okay. I did pull them apart. I know how they come apart, no problems. I learned a lesson, though, which is examine the part before you get overzealous and go out and buy things. Fixing these or working on them is becoming a real fun job. And I enjoy it. It's a neat pastime, and it's such satisfaction. But it's kind of dumb if you buy $50 worth of parts and you don't need them. So I should have checked in here and checked the brakes, but at least I have the parts. And what I'm going to do is put everything together, lower it back down, check the brake fluid, and then take it for a spin, put gas in the car or something. At least these are now greased, top and bottom. The spacers or the shims are greased, and now I know what to look for next time. So that'll be a lesson to you all. See you later.